If I had graduated from Trinity, would I understand all that? Okay. Provost Orchard, Provost Misak, fellow recipient Bill Corcoran, grandchildren Jamie, Quinn, and Devon, members of the entering class, faculty and officers of Trinity College, and honored guests. It is a particular honor to be the recipient of a University of Trinity College degree. As has been pointed out, the closest I have come up to now was graduating from the University of Toronto Schools. I thank those responsible and would like to share this honor with my wife, Margaret, my love and life partner for over 57 years. Now you, the entering class, are to be congratulated for gaining admission to an institution with very high entrance standards and a rich history and tradition dating back nearly 200 years. Congratulations to you and to those close to you who have had a part in making it possible. I'm told there are 466 of you in the entering class, that over 100 are from outside Canada, and nearly 90 of those are from overseas. Your areas of study are varied. Females outnumber males by nearly 2 to 1. I wasn't that lucky in my years. With such a diverse group of students, it is a challenge to say anything in a few minutes that will have an impact, but let me try. For many, there may be a temptation to focus only on relationships with those you already know. Don't. Broaden your net and take advantage of the diversity, first in your class, then at Trinity, and finally in the wider university population. What a wonderful opportunity to be exposed to many different cultures and mindsets. At Trinity, you'll be able to dine intellectually from a smorgasbord of stimulating offerings. Choose wisely. Include those that will make you a more interesting, broadly informed person, as well as those for a specific field. The Trinity College courses will help you learn to think critically and to communicate clearly, key attributes of a successful life. And success is more than the concise 6-word formula set out by that great American philosopher, John Paul Getty, who said, "Rise early, work hard, find oil." Much of life is a series of choices, and I predict you will make many more career choices over the next 25 years than your predecessors over the last 50. My generation expected to find a job, work with that one institution, and then retire on a pension. That model no longer applies. The expectation today is that you will have multiple careers for which you should prepare. How does one do this? Above all, it is essential that you love what you do and do what you love. Your task is to determine what that is. Try to create or be exposed to as many quality options as possible. Try to get experience that will prepare you for an even wider range of opportunities. Network, be open, expose yourself to different groups, different challenges. One never knows who or what will open up an opportunity. My experience has been that it is usually an individual who provides the entree. My father was the licensee in Canada for Slinky, a children's spring toy that walks downstairs. Some of you may be too young to know about it. But the founder was Dick James. He was a munitions factory worker. One day in the plant, a spring fell from his workbench onto the stool, then onto a box, and then onto the floor. That was mesmerizing, he thought. I'm sure that many others had the same experience. The difference is that Dick James recognized an opportunity, developed a product, and successfully launched it. I believe that chance, divine guidance, serendipity, luck, whatever you want to call it, provides opportunities to all of us. The challenge is, first, whether we recognize the opportunity, and second, whether we then follow through and make it happen. There is an addendum to that story. At that time, a high tariff environment existed that made imports very expensive. Therefore, it made much more sense to have Slinky manufactured in Canada under license. The product was attractive, and there were many seeking the Canadian license. My father visited the James at their home in Philadelphia and eventually became the licensee. Years later, Betty James asked him if he knew why he had been granted the license. He said, "I thought it was because I had a good distribution system and experience in selling toys." Betty said, "So did the others, but you were the only one who sent flowers." Sometimes little caring thoughts can make the difference. Another example of recognizing an opportunity is Tomas Bata, the Czech founder of Bata Shoe. Where others had returned from Africa saying there was no market for shoes because most people were barefoot, Bata wired home there was a tremendous market for shoes because most people did not have them. Today, the word for shoe in many parts of Africa is a bata. My wife and I had a family goal to spend a year in the Orient and a year in Europe before our oldest child was in high school. No particular reason other than it would be stimulating and broadening. The year in Japan helped develop perceptual capabilities because preconceptions were of little value in a culture very foreign to our own. Japan also had a major influence on our aesthetic sense. Simplicity, harmony, and understatement became more appealing. If opportunities arise for travel or exchange, consider them seriously. They can be enabling because globalization brings with it many more international job opportunities. Edward Hall's book, The Silent Language, had an important influence in sensitizing me to nonverbal communication, particularly among different cultures. Time and space are two examples. In Switzerland or Germany, a 2 o'clock meeting means precisely at 2 o'clock. In certain parts of South America, the meaning is much more elastic. It's mañana. When two people meet, the zone of physical separation, how close you stand to each other while speaking, differs among cultures. For instance, it's closer than we are usually comfortable with in some Arab countries. At a cocktail party, you'll see the Arab moving in as the Westerner retreats. None of these idiosyncrasies is better or worse. They're just different. Understanding them is part of being a true internationalist. Leadership is another skill that many of you will be expected to provide. One of my favorite comic strips, Animal Crackers, provides some insight on one important leadership quality. In the opening frame shows a long line of antelopes. In the second panel, the number 2 antelope is asking the leader, what leadership quality is most important? As the leader ponders this question, we see in the third frame that the rest of the antelopes are way off on the horizon, and a voice from the line calls out and says, "Hey, stupid, over here." In the last panel, the leader and the number 2 are back in front of the line, and the leader finally replies, "Flexibility." Martin Luther King, in a sermon entitled "Tough Mind, Tender Heart," develops the theme that life at its best is a creative synthesis of opposites. He takes as his text Jesus' admonition to his disciples to be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. That is to combine the toughness of the serpent with the softness of the dove, a tough mind and a tender heart. Your training may prepare you well in developing the incisive thinking, realistic appraisal, and decisive judgment of the tough mind. You may develop many tools to fight our tendency to soft-mindedness and gullibility, often exploited by advertisers, spin doctors, and the media. But training does not develop tender hearts. We need to cultivate them. King asks, what is more tragic than to see a person who has risen to the disciplined heights of tough-mindedness but has at the same time sunk to the passionless depths of hard-heartedness. I divide income into two types, monetary and psychic. Until you have looked after the debt of financing an education, the need for the first type will loom pretty large. My hope is that, as time goes on, you will have enough monetary income to concentrate more on the psychic income that comes from involvement in the voluntary or nonprofit-seeking sector. In today's knowledge economy, the knowledge worker needs a range of community-like activities, not found in the workplace. To achieve fulfillment and to make a difference in society, increased voluntarism is the win-win solution. The story about making a difference that I have always liked is of someone walking in the beach near dawn when he sees a figure off in the distance that appears to be doing some form of contemporary dance. As he gets closer, he sees that the figure is picking up a starfish and in a wheeling motion, throwing it into the sea. He says to the figure, "What are you doing?" The figure replies, "I'm saving these starfish from being killed when the sun comes out." "But," the man says, "there are thousands. You can't possibly make a difference." The figure picks up a starfish, wheels and throws it far out into the surf and says, "I made a difference for that one." You can make a difference. To enhance your life and make it fuller, expose yourself to the best in the arts. Our art collecting started quite conservatively and inexpensively with a copy of a painting in the Vatican of St. Matthew and an Angel by Guido Reni. That is quite different from the contemporary art we now have. I find visual art stimulating because artists look at objects in innovative ways. One of today's well-known artists is Claes Oldenburg. He takes the ordinary and makes it gargantuan. A good example is his giant hamburger at the Art Gallery of Ontario. This type of art makes you think, broadens your perspective, and opens you to look at things in different ways. Summing up, determine and follow your passion. Take courses for life as well as for a profession. Expose yourself to and prepare yourself for opportunities. Explore both domestic and international possibilities. Partner a tough mind with a tender heart. Seek out psychic as well as monetary income. Include the arts in your life and make a difference, even if it is small. Finally, have high aspirations and dreams. In the early 1900s, Daniel Burnham chauvinistically urged his fellow architects to make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood. Make big plans. Let your watchword be order and your beacon beauty, think big. And when there are times when all is not going well, and there will be such times, think of Charlie Brown. Charlie's baseball team has never won a baseball game and probably never will. During a low moment, Linus says, "Charlie, don't feel so blue. You win a few, you lose a few." Charlie looks up and says, "Gee, that would be great." I have confidence that you will win many, many more than a few. Thank you.